everyone, and welcome to An Hour with Nangla, a platform where we shine the spotlight on inspiring or aspiring change makers across Africa who are leading the fight to prevent and to respond to gender-based violence. So, thank you very much for joining us today and for joining this conversation. So, today we have with us um, Monica Brown, who's doing amazing work at the level of South Africa, but also globally. And we're super, super excited to have her on the program today. But again, I would let her introduce herself so she gives you every other detail you will be needing to paint a perfect picture of who she is. So over to you, Monica.
Hi, good morning, good afternoon, everybody. I'm Monica Brown, and I'm the CEO of South Africa Scream. Um, South Africa Scream is one of very few GBV consultancies in Africa because what I did, I took my NGO and I turned it into social enterprise. So now it's a business. And the only reason why I did that because I couldn't really get to the projects that I wanted to do because funding became a problem. So I have been in the space of gender-based violence for approximately 30 years, and that's a very long time. Um, I am a victim, turning survivor, um, turning activist, and now basically I don't really know what to call myself now because I've surpassed the point of running in the street and with the placards and screaming all the slogans that you want to scream and all that. I'm now in the spaces where decisions are made and policies are formed. So and through my content writing or the things that I write about, I'm educating communities across the globe in terms of no longer what gender based violence is, but what to do about it, how to respond to it, and how to support the survivors. Because I think that in particular is one of the areas that nobody want to touch on. But beside the GBV, you know, arena that I'm in, I'm a social entrepreneur. I have different things that I wear so many hats. I don't know anymore where to turn my head. Anything from inclusive agricultural activism. I'm a director in Agriability South Africa, and we look at helping disabled farmers, especially women, to get into the spaces of agriculture. I am also recently became the COO of an international non-governmental organization that is global. But beside that, my space that I love is the space that I occupy in the media industry because I run a few businesses in that space as well. But you know, I'm not a person that love to talk about what I do. You know, I love talking about empowering people. You know, I love talking about um, what can we do to be better people tomorrow. You know, so because I think people put so much of emphasis on what you've achieved. I do not have a master's degree. I do not have a doctor's degree. I've got a basic degree, and I took that and I applied it over different spaces. So, yeah, in terms of education, I am a lifelong learner. I will never stop learning. And I'm a student of life. I'm sitting here today because the University of Life, you know, the things that it taught me, it is just one of those things that I can never explain in detail to people. Because today you are looking at a woman that were that married her rapist, my family could not, well, I couldn't say could not. My parents didn't believe that the incident happened. So then I was pregnant and I had to marry my rapist who, after a year, I couldn't stand the abuse anymore. I ran away with my small baby and stayed on the street of South Africa for 2 years. Say almost 2 years. And in that space, I found myself in that stillness, in that pain, in that grief, in that blaming space. I found myself. And I came to realize that if I wasn't going to do something for myself, nobody was going to do it. And I raised my daughter. And at the age of 7, he fought me and he took me to court and he had access to her and she got raped. So I was traumatized again. And the blame now didn't fall on him. It was somebody in his family that apparently did that. But that spiraled out of control with my daughter at the age of 12, becoming a completely different person. So the trauma didn't stop with me. So she became, pulled her life together, had a baby. The guy disappointed her at university. And she became completely somebody that I didn't know she was. And today my granddaughter is living with me. Because my granddaughter, while living with her mom, got sexually assaulted by her stepfather. So the cycle never broke. And that is why I had to break the cycle. I had to put a stop to it when I went in and took her. And as we speak today, my daughter is sadly, she couldn't pull her life together. She's caught in the web of the world, as I would put it. And my granddaughter, which is the eldest of the grandchildren, of my 3 grandchildren, she lives with me. And I had to break the cycle. So that will give you an understanding why I'm in this space and why I do what I do.
Right. So thank you very much, Monica, for sharing this part of your story, which is something which takes a lot of empowerment to be able to talk about. It is a lot you went through, and I'm really, really sorry you had to go through this, not just yourself, but another generation right after you. But the
Mm-hmm.
empowering side of this is the fact that you just didn't let it go. You decided to take action. You just didn't decide to lie there and cry, or say to get on the streets, or say to seek validation, or say approval, or say to let somebody, push you. You took the action. And I know that speaking, working at community level, at level of GBV prevention and response, many times the feedback I've gotten from many survivors is the fear to talk about their stories, um, the pain that comes with recounting the story and making it, and having that feeling of reliving the story again, the fear of not getting the validation, just like it was your
Mm-hmm.
case. And exactly the reason why I'm saying that you're a very powerful woman to have put an end, like a stop, not just to your own generation, but to other people at community level who will be using your example as a lesson. It's a promising practice, or say a best practice, as we commonly put it. It's a lot happening out there, and I can imagine how many lives you would have saved already. Um, just sharing your story. I think there is a lot to learn, and I know that viewers who are listening and following through with this story will be able to learn just a lot, to say that it starts with breaking the silence, but also it takes accountability of stakeholders to be able to put an end. And more importantly, the role of a mother and also family. plays a very crucial role, because I know that you know better now. And today that we're putting the spotlight on the work that you've been doing, I would like your story to be a thing of hope, a thing of empowerment, a reference to many other persons who will be listening to your story. Your motivation is very powerful, and we hope it's going to change lives out there. So that makes me want to ask again the question. In your area, I know you've highlighted rape being that aspect that stands out, that type of gender-based violence that stands out, right? If you were to put a definition to gender-based violence generically, maybe not from a dictionary definition, but just from your own perspective, how will you coin it? What will you say gender-based violence literally is, in your opinion?
That's a very interesting question, because to me, in the beginning, I thought this was only happening to women. But over the years, I've seen it's also happening to men. So
Right.
I've changed my definition of it. And for me, it is just violence. Because violence is not right. No matter who the violence are against or who the violence are perpetrated against, violence is not right. So for me, it had become something um, that really is so close to my heart, because I work with children that's been violated and violence had been perpetrated against them. Then I have elderly people that I work with whose violence had been perpetrated against them by not strangers, their own children, their own grandchildren. I had a
Right.
mother recently, a 70-year-old mother that was raped by her son. And because she has partial sight, she couldn't get help from the police station. She couldn't say who it was. But what I'm trying to say, those are the type of things that I deal with on a daily basis. Then I have women who are being violated every 4 minutes in South Africa. The violence here are so high. Whether she's violated in work space, in her home, in her church, in a social circle. And then you have men, the unspoken violence that nobody wants to actually talk about. So men are violated on a daily basis, but they do not have the ability to walk into a police station and go and open a case, because the men on the other side of the counter do not understand the violation that this person is talking about. So to me, gender-based violence to me is violence. I do not I do not put anything else to it, because I think in the beginning, when the year started, I handled the case of two sisters that were sexually molested by their stepdad. Nobody believed them. But my intervention caused this whole case to be halted before it went on trial and to be reinvestigated. And now, because of my intervention, almost 18,000 cases in that jurisdiction will be re-looked at by the prosecuting authority. So for me, gender-based violence no longer, all these definitions that we get, all these definitions scientifically that they are giving to us, really, you are in the space. Tell me, does it really make sense?
Yeah,
It
Dad.
does.
Yeah.
It does.
Right.
They're
Right.
giving something a name which we
Mm.
have been surrounded by in our communities.
Right.
We see two people fight. Is that gender-based violence?
Yeah. Yeah.
We see two women fight. Is that gender-based violence?
Right.
because women are fighting with each other over a man. They're fighting. There are so much of violence perpetrated by women on women.
True. True.
And we
That's
never talk about it. We never talk about it.
right.
It's just a fight. It is just a fight. It's just another fight. We have
Yeah.
violence perpetrated by toxic parents on their
True.
children. We never
True.
talk about that. But that is gender-based violence.
It is. It is.
Children on children. In
Yeah.
South Africa, we're having children as young as in grade 1. I'm talking about 6, 7 years old, sexually touching each other in inappropriate ways. What is that? That's gender-based violence. So we need to relook, we need to go back to the drawing board, and we need to go sit down. Neighbors are fighting with each other, road rage. What is that? It's
Yeah.
gender-based violence.
Right. Right.
There is nothing else that happens in that space but violence.
Agreed.
The
Agreed.
word that comes up is violence. We need to start normalizing non-violence. We need to start normalizing, finding ways to have a conversation before it escalates to violence. You know, that
Yeah.
is what my aim is. And I'm doing that very successfully in South Africa through programs that I run. I just taught a community now on child grooming.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
taught them on child grooming, and I got 6 people that volunteered to do an 8-module program that I designed, and I called it Sleeping with the Enemy.
Hmm. So captivating. It
Yeah,
tells the story. I mean, just from the name, the tag, it tells the story.
sleeping with the enemy,
Yeah.
because we are so prone as women when we become single to go and look for a man. A man is not supposed to be looked for. You are supposed to be the one being hunted, not you the hunter.
Hmm. Good.
A woman should know the minute she goes out there and she
Yeah.
becomes the hunter, in the
Right.
end, she will become the victim.
Okay. That's
Because we
powerful.
cannot we cannot change nature. We're
Yeah.
supposed to be hunted. And there are men or perpetrators out there that are looking for that vulnerability in somebody to get into those spaces so that he can cement himself as a provider, supporter,
Yeah.
father figure. And then, because what I'm teaching communities, child grooming don't happen in one instant. It happens over a period of time.
Agreed. That's a given. I agree.
So those are the things. So the violence, the act of violence can only happen after the grooming has taken place.
True. True. I agree.
And it's over a period of time. And what
Mhm.
I'm teaching communities is to look for the signs, how to respond to the signs. And then now, in for my 16 days of activism program in South Africa this year, I have taken it a step further. I'm
Right.
teaching them on case management. After you've reported, how do you follow up with the authorities? How do you hold people accountable? Who is the stakeholders? Who must fill in what form? How
Right.
long must it stays in the space of that authority before you can go over to the next one? I've taken a step now where I have given you the signs.
Mhm.
I've shown you the interconnectedness between grooming and human trafficking. I
Right.
showed you grooming and gender-based violence,
Mhm.
grooming and ABCD, whatever goes with it.
Right.
So now I'm teaching you how to report, who to
Right.
report to, and
Yeah.
how to how to manage it while we report it. So
Right.
you are basically now, there's a generation of activists that I'm training now that will
Mhm.
no longer be walking into a space of authority and not know what they need to ask for. They will say, I'm here to follow up on ABCD with this reference number, with this charge, and I would like to see the investigating officer. That's powerful.
I agree.
That's powerful because you start holding people accountable in the positions that they have been appointed in. And in Africa, that is something that we're not doing. We're not doing that. And I'm
Agreed.
very excited because sometimes it takes a while for people to understand me because I'm very mysterious. I don't really talk. My silence
Action.
is my superpower. My
Yeah.
silence is my superpower. I do not immediately react when a question is asked. I listen and then I choose what to respond.
Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's a superpower right there.
Mm-hmm. And that's a skill that we need to learn because we
Yeah.
are so quick to react.
Yeah.
We are literally, we are a reactive society, not proactive. And what I'm doing through my education in terms of gender based violence is that I am creating spaces where proactiveness are chosen above reactiveness. Before something happens, we are ready to deal with it before it spills over into the next disaster. And it's not an easy task, but I am so delighted to say to you that um, in South Africa, we have this severe problem in terms of children. Children are being neglected, they are being abused, they are being sold, they are being killed for rituals. They are being, so many children go missing in South Africa. It's something that is actually never spoken about. And if you think about it, missing children are a form of gender based violence. They have been violated and been taken away out of a space that they are known, and they are actually going out for human trafficking. They're being killed, they're being used as slaves, and we don't know what happens to them. So, in that space, which is a good thing that I have this platform today, an old friend of mine, I managed to convince her to go into partnership with me. And our organization, in terms of missing children, will go live one of these days because we will be linking up with Black Girls Missing. I don't know whether you remember in America, there's two ladies. I think the one is Natalie Wilson, I'm not sure. But I'm going to link up with them because when a black girl go missing, you don't even see it in the media. It's a fact.
Sadly.
When
Yeah.
when black when black, and I'm sorry to say this, and this is might sound funny, but when you are not seen as a light-skinned person or you are not white,
Mm.
your existence are being lowered to another level. And even anything that happens to you are not important. And we need to change that narrative. And the only people that can change that is us that is
Ah,
in those spaces. So I'm going to duplicate what they have done with Black Girls Missing. And we're going to do the same in South Africa, where we, through my media company, The Unspoken Truth, that's my
yeah.
media company, I am
Okay.
going to have a channel, a
Mhm.
platform where we can just post all people going missing, missing persons, constantly just broadcasting it all over uh, uh, the news and starting to work with the families of those children
Right.
or those people, because nobody talks about them. They're only in the news when it's announced.
Yeah. Yeah.
But what happens to that family afterwards? They have to
True.
deal with that pain alone. There's
Mm.
no support for them. And
Mm.
really, they are victims of gender-based violence.
Yeah. Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it's time that organizations in the space
Mm.
also start working in isolation. It's
Yeah.
time that we start working together, form networks that is workable and
Right.
effective and
Right.
impactful. That
Right.
is the word, impactful.
Impactful.
Because there are so little data on gender-based violence across the globe.
True.
No real data.
True.
And through your platform
Mm-hmm.
and through your voice, you can
True.
become an amplifier to get
Mm-hmm.
these organizations to work together, to start collecting data
Mm-hmm.
so that we can tell the real story, what's happening on the ground.
Agreed. Agreed.
And I wrote an article on the importance of data for one of the GBV publications in South Africa. And I said, that is the solution,
Right.
because we do not know really what leads to it.
Mm-hmm.
Where did the person live? Where did they work? Who did they
Mm-hmm.
hang out with? We
Mm-hmm.
don't have that data.
Right. I
And
mean, you're
every
very
case,
correct. You're very
yes, we
right,
don't have
Monica,
it.
because there is power in numbers.
Yeah.
I mean, it's very powerful because many times when you go at policy level, I like that you mentioned that you're gradually getting off the street into policy in boardrooms. I
Mhm.
like that angle of it because you do not see things just from a theoretical angle, but from a very practical angle. And many times when you sit in those rooms and you push for those policies, the question they would ask you is, where is the evidence that this is
Yes.
happening? So that statistics or those statistics will always really, really help to paint the proper picture. And I like that you're highlighting the relevance of multi-sectoral coordination, because
Hmm.
coordination also brings that ability up to say it is not just you alone that's reporting, it's not just your
Mm.
website, but if we pull those statistics of every other service provider all together, it speaks even volumes, because at the end of the day, when we even document, we're talking about cases that have been reported. And that goes back to your work you mentioned prior about not just telling people, not just raising awareness, but also helping them on how to seek justice and also push for accountability. This links me to your book, the talking about the legal angle of I
Yeah.
mean the legal piece of things. You know, generally I often say that when legal systems push perpetrators back into the community, whatever work we are doing behind around GBV prevention gets watered down. Like it takes us almost to zero. So
Mm.
are you able to shed a little bit of light again around this book and what the content of this book is? Again, to say that this book is on Amazon, and please, you will be checking the description of this video so that you can click on this link to get yourself a copy of this book. But again, it will be important for us to hear from Monica. What will you be getting from this book? So, yeah, Monica.
The book is called Behind the Badge. And this book is actually dedicated to my late father, who was a
Mhm.
police officer for 40 years.
Yeah.
And growing up in a very rural community, I never
Mhm.
understood why he would always sit in silence. Sometimes he just wanted some space. Sometimes when he worked,
Yeah.
and the reason why I wrote that book was to give an understanding to people what first responders, social workers, activists,
Yeah.
volunteers are going through when
Right.
these cases. Sometimes, in my case, it was a mirror of what I've experienced.
Right.
Can you imagine? I'm
Yeah.
helping a woman that had been raped.
Yeah.
I'm helping a child that was raped. And I am reliving my trauma
Exactly.
again and again
Exactly.
and again. And I go back to do it again.
Yeah.
Because why? Because I want to do something good. And this is what this book is about. The characters in there is two detectives. It's a female and a male detective. And what
Yeah.
I'm doing in that book is she's a victim of abuse herself. And
Right.
I am depicting all the different scenarios that she get to these different crime scenes
Right.
and how she has to put herself
Mm.
back and
Mm.
forget about her own problems at that moment in time to help
Right.
that victim. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
explaining the emotions that she's going through when she go home at night, how she can't sleep, how she's having nightmares. But when
Mm.
that phone rings, she gets up to go and help the next victim.
Right.
And that is what my book is about.
Right.
Because we are so prone to say to people after we've been helped, ah, that wasn't important. Because this is the most thankless job that you'll ever do in your life, working with people. People in distress, they are people that will never say thank you. They will never realize what you've done for them. Because the minute they feel better, you are the first person they forget. Do
I
you know that?
know. I know.
They are the first person. They forget
Sadly.
about you. But you basically help them to a point where because the work that we do in GBV, in gender-based violence,
Yeah.
you work with broken people.
True.
You work
Agree.
you work with broken people. And if you work with broken people, you must be prepared never to hear a thank you. Be
Yeah.
prepared.
Yeah. But Monica, again,
Because,
that just following up on that, I had a question to ask you. You've been in this area for a very long time. I remember when I used to manage a temporal shelter for GBV survivors. This was, I always say, it was one of the most difficult
mm,
phases in my area of work. Listening to the stories of not just children, not just teenagers, not
mm,
just I mean, adults, but again, just generally, a little bit of
mm,
this type of gender-based violence comes in today, tomorrow another incident at your
mm.
angle, because I was going to ask you what was your targeted population, but I think you've answered to that question already. I
Yeah, I
see
did. Yeah.
that you cut across children to older persons, especially like you mentioned, the case of the woman, the older woman who got sexually assaulted. How do you manage your mental health? You're still pushing so hard. You've been working for over 30 years now in the same area of work. How do you manage your mental health?
I I have friends. We have a circle of friends that we have it. We call it a debriefing circle.
Right.
Yeah. So we have a scheduled time frame per month where we just unpack,
Right.
and that's what I do. I have created that circle. It's called the debriefing circle, and I also extend it to other organizations if they need it because I am an associate neuroplastician. I've got my
Right.
certification last year, and I have been recognized through the methodologies that I'm using in my GBV counseling and coaching. They've identified that it is so close to what neuroplasticity is all about. So basically, that's what I do. So we have the debriefing circle, and that helps a lot of people, and it helps me to actually just offload because that's important to offload. And that is why I'm still standing. Even though my granddaughter sometimes says, "Oh, I think you need to go take a walk." And I said, "Yeah, I'll go take a walk," because sometimes you become so quiet that your silence is so loud, and they realize, that you just need that moment. But I'm in a space in my house or in my home
Yeah.
where every room has got a different character. So when I
Great.
walk out of here into my lounge, I look at the fireplace. I can have that. If I go to my room, I have my paintings that I love there. So I have created a safe space and a space of debriefing even in my home for myself. Yeah.
This is lovely. This is so so lovely, and I guess there is a lot of people working out there who working out there, but also do not. You get lost in the whole process because when you go through the minimum standards for GBV prevention and response, the total caseload for an individual to a caseworker to handle should be around 15 cases a month. But I was telling someone that while I worked in emergencies, we still responded to more than this 15 caseload. And this is you talking about your experience, and I can imagine the number of persons you attend to. I like that you shared some of the statistics. You trained this number of persons, and this is what's coming up. You added your voice to this, and this is what the result was like. This could be a lot. And I really like that you're taking the mental health angle of things very, very seriously
Yes.
because
Yes.
sometimes it's very easy to lose yourself in the entire
Mm-hmm.
process, sort of forget about yourself, but caring more about people. And again, going through your web page, Monica, there was something that caught my attention, which I think that you've still just, in a way, mentioned it, the inclusivity angle, the aspect of ensuring that everyone is taken into consideration and nobody is left
Mm-hmm.
behind. How has that been like carrying everybody all along, being the mother hen, not putting limitations or say barriers to say, no, I'm just working with children. No, I'm not working with straight persons. No, I'm not working with older persons. How has it been like carrying everybody all along with you?
You know, we live in a society uh, that everybody's different. So inclusivity for me is very important. You know, when I was young, I was this tall girl, very thin, very skinny. So I never belonged. I didn't have friends. I was bullied. And when I was at boarding school at the age of 12, I left home for boarding school because I wanted to do mathematics. I realized one thing: you can only belong if you love yourself enough to belong.
Mm, that
You need
right
to
there.
love yourself first.
Yeah.
Because whoever wants you in their space will have to prove themselves to be part of your world. And that is what I did. I had one thing that they didn't have. I had intelligence. I was
Oof,
extremely clever at school.
that.
So all the bullies in the end had to get to me to help them with their work. And they had to first respect me to get into my space. We are still friends 35 years later.
Oh, great.
Even, yes, there are some of them, yeah, we're still friends. I just helped one of my schoolmates through a divorce after 30 years. I
Oof,
just last week got her to book into a mental health facility. She is a teacher with a master's degree with two children, adult children. We booked her in last week for 21 days into a mental health facility because after 30 years, I showed her that she was married to a narcissist.
right,
So inclusivity is very important for me
right.
because the woman that's blind that get raped and can't prove to the police that she's been raped, imagine the hard time she'll have.
Yeah,
The
yeah.
blind, the deaf, the
Mm-hmm.
disabled children that's being sexually molested and can't tell you what they're going through.
Right.
That's a reality. That's a reality. So inclusivity, diversity, and all that goes hand in hand with
Yeah.
violence
True.
because violence perpetrated against those people are violence perpetrated against us all.
True.
You cannot say when a woman in a wheelchair gets raped that she mustn't get the same treatment as a woman that is able to walk into a police station and report it. You need to be able to work that into that particular space. And if you can't do that, it's a problem. Because as an activist, you cannot choose who to help.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah. Yeah.
I have, as we speak, a white elderly gentleman that stays in my outbuilding, which was living on the street. But now he knows that we are now going to help somebody else. He is now going to move on because he had a few months that he could recoup, think about his life, and he's moving on. So somebody else is moving in that space. But in the space of South Africa, helping a white person would not be deemed as the best thing to do because of our history. But that's not about the race. It's about the situation.
Agreed.
And it's about God's intervention.
That. Yeah.
It's about your discernment at that moment.
Mm-hmm.
Because you know what, in life, there are certain cases that I don't accept. Do you know that?
Yeah.
There are certain people that I pass, only greet and pass. There are certain people that stop and help. Because sometimes, as an activist, you can end up in a big problem in the
Agreed.
gender-based violence space if you don't know how to discern.
Mm-hmm.
Because some people will come into the GBV space and play victim when they are actually the perpetrator.
That right there, that's very, very accurate because it was going to take me to the next question, which is to be what are your perspective or your takes around survivors sometimes who you engage from two angles. This is in two angles. Sometimes you engage, they give you the wrong side of the story. And with us, you need to listen first of all. You need to validate. You need to engage. But midway, you find out that this wasn't the case. How do you engage those sort of clients? And in some other occasions, where you know that this is actually a survivor of an incident, especially in cases of intimate partner violence, then you get the survivor telling you, I think I'll just want to let it go because I see you're doing a lot of work around the legal angle, which is something which is missing. That is often the missing piece. And I like that you have had a lot of success in that angle. Right. Again, many times when you push with these women, given that our work is guided by the survival centered approach, many times the survival comes in to say, I think I just want to leave it at this level. I don't want to go any further. I have sorted out my issue with my, I don't know if to call it perpetrator or my spouse or say my partner. So I want to end it at this level. How do you relate to these two incidents, which most times center around survivor reaction to GBV response?
I have a process. I have an intake process, and during the intake process, I make it quite clear, and I'm happy to announce that the South African legal system and the laws has been amended that even if a victim do not want to lay charges in South Africa, and me as an activist or as the person assisting her feel that her life is in danger, I can report the matter.
Oh, great.
Without her consent.
Oh, great. This is
Without her
something.
consent. Yeah.
This
Yeah.
is
In South
something.
Africa, we can do that now. And even if you become aware of children whose life is endangered, you as
Yeah.
an activist can call it in and actually report the matter without that mother even giving you the
Consent.
go ahead.
Mm-hmm.
Because we've realized that if you leave it to the survivor who already now is in a space of being manipulated by the perpetrator, that
Right.
person can die in the end.
True.
She rather has to say to the authorities that she's not going to take the matter further because then it is recorded. But how will you feel as an activist when you allow somebody to walk out of your office knowing she's walking to her death.
I mean, that's it.
Yeah. We need to start not giving people options anymore. When they come for help, you tell them, this is what I do. My intake form is very clear. You are here to report a matter. You have the right to say that you're not going to take it further. But it is my responsibility as an activist in this space to report the matter to the authorities. So I'm sorry to burst your bubble, but you came here for help. You shared. I have to report that there's a situation. So if you
Right.
like me or not, the matter is going to the authorities. And that's the important part that's missing. Because how many organizations are sitting with data of women
Yeah.
that came in and they don't even know what happened to those women afterwards?
Hmm. Mm.
How
Yeah.
many follow-ups are being done? How many aftercares being done? How many
Mm.
house visits are being done? I do house visits. I
Okay.
do house visits. Yeah. My volunteers do house visits. Because you can't come to me and say to me that you are going through abuse if there is no medical report at any clinic, because I check on that. There is no report with the police that had been filed. Your family had been interviewed. They have never noticed any scars on you or anything. They notice on your husband, but not on you. Your social media accounts, I sometimes check to see the behavior because a person and a victim has a certain way of operating.
Okay.
You cannot be saying that you've been abused, but you're all over the show on holiday, never complaining, nothing, everything is fine. Come and tell me when you went and reported this person.
Right.
Something need to happen. You need to tell someone. There must be somebody in your circle, whether it's a friend, a colleague, a family member, or something that might have seen something. So what we do intensive investigations alongside the police.
Mm.
And that is what's important. To know the system, you will be able to interpret the system and to be able to question the system.
Right.
Activists need to stop just thinking I'm working with A. They need to equip themselves with a legal framework around it. They need to equip
Mm.
themselves with the laws that governs that particular space that they're working in. I
Right.
know all the laws that governs the work that I deal with
Mm.
because it's important to know that that law should be printed out and be in your office. Any point in time you need to make reference, you need to go back there and check.
Yeah.
When there's amendment, you need to follow up, print out that amendment and see how these things are going to have an effect on the work that you're doing currently in your space.
Right.
We need
And
to
that's
challenge the
something.
authorities. We need to do
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, Monica, this is something I respect about your work because you do not just get general or say global frameworks, but you go as far as domesticating them. You go as far as knowing what the national laws, the national legal frameworks actually say. And I like that you really push up until the point of trying to track the changes. What has differed? What has changed? What has
Mm.
improved? And I like that you're not just holding other service providers to whom you may do referrals to accountable, but you go right deep to also try to hold survivors accountable right from the onset to know
Yes.
what do you expect right ahead. And one other post I saw on your webpage, I keep going back there because, like I told you, there was just a lot buried in there. And I'll be more than happy to drop that link as well in the description box. People should know about this and read. There was a post there that said, I cannot remember if it said, but I think it was sort of highlighting that it doesn't end with hashtags, it goes beyond hashtags.
Yeah.
And yeah, I think a lot of advocacy. I like that from your intro, you said you're gradually graduating from carrying placards to yelling on the streets to getting the work done. And I think this is where the work comes in. And I like the fact that you kept highlighting that we should drive action towards impact. I think this is a key word. If I ever forget about your interview today, I will be remembering the word impact. This is a key word that has stuck in my brain as you progressed with sharing your experience impact. Why is it important for us to move beyond hashtags into concrete action that drives us towards impact creation?
Yeah. Yeah, no, it is important. It's very important because remember, the one thing about hashtags, it is fine to say, follow this hashtag, do this and that. But at the end of the day, action speaks louder than words. And this is something that I have been talking about a lot in the recent times. And currently, I'm writing on LinkedIn on the hashtag Africa Executes. And I'm addressing the issue where we are so prone to promote a project, but we never, ever look after the project. We're supposed to look after the project. We don't tell people what is the impact of the project. Who did it impact it? What change did you make with that project? And it's happening globally. That I was making this example. If you work in the space of gender-based violence, right? What impact do your organization bring to the community that you serve?
Right. Right.
How many organizations actually tell you that? Very few. Because impact is one word that goes hand in hand with accountability.
True.
Because when I work with a family, I don't only work with a victim. I work with the secondary victims. I work with that level after that as well. Because if somebody gets raped, the person is the person that's been raped. But nobody talks about the impact on the family that surrounds that person.
Right. Right.
So what I always say is that being with a narcissist, whether it's your wife or your boyfriend or your girlfriend or your father or your mother, can even be your own child that can be a narcissist towards you. It changes the way you see love. It changes the way you see life. And being with a narcissist also awakens you to the bad in the world, because we always want to think that everything is good, and especially the people that we love, we expect them to be good to us. So in the space of gender-based violence, when these things happen to you, we become so aware of bad things. Our vocabulary becomes bad. The words that we use, the spaces that we find ourselves sometimes is even bad. So I always sensitize people on this as a person working in gender-based violence. Be very careful that you, in the end, do not become a perpetrator because of your circumstances. We lose ourselves and we become perpetrators, because now I am being beaten up at home by my partner. I go to work, I become a bully.
Yeah.
In the space of work, because my life is not okay.
Right.
I start screaming at my children. I become a toxic parent.
Right. Right.
And this is what people don't talk about. The impact of one situation on a good person, turning them into a perpetrator.
Right.
One incident, one situation
Yeah.
is the type of work and the impact that I'm talking about. We
Mm-hmm.
need to start doing projects as GBV space owners
Mm-hmm.
that address issues like this.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stop looking at the beaten up person. Some people don't carry bruises, but they are so bruised inside.
Yeah.
Reach out, link up with proper professionals, because in my space, my network, I've got psychologists, I've got psychiatrists that is volunteering, that's giving me an hour a month. You know how much an hour a month means to me for my clients that
It's
can't
a
afford
lot.
it. 15 minutes with one person, with a properly trained psychologist or a psychiatrist, or even a 30 minutes, that person can make an assessment for me in 30 minutes that can change the life of that person. We are not trained psychiatrists.
Yeah.
We are not trained psychologists. Some people are not even trauma counselors. We just have a passion to help. So
Sure.
we need to reach out to people that is trained in that field to make proper assessments, to give proper advice.
Mm-hmm.
And then we know that we've impacted that person's life. Because
Right.
some people have reached a level when it comes to mental health that they need medication.
Agreed.
But we want to give them love and air. We want to pray for them. You're not even allowed to pray for a person without their permission. Do you know that? In
Agreed.
South
100.
Africa,
Yeah.
yeah, you're not allowed to just go on praying for somebody without asking their permission. You're not. You
Yeah.
don't know the relationship that person has with God at that moment in time.
Yeah. And I mean, you're very correct,
And you
Monica,
must
because
respect that space.
this
So,
brings
Jen,
in the religious angle of things, because I like that you said there is always an intake phase, which is step one in GBV case management generally. And I feel like many or institutions or service providers want to prescribe to the survivor rather than listen to the survivor, provide the survivor with a list of possible services, but also respect the person or say the being of the survivor. Attach now service response services based on the needs of the survivor, because just like you said, you can't be praying for somebody who needs legal services. You can't be praying for somebody who needs the services of a psychiatrist, who needs the services of a psychologist. You can't be praying for somebody who needs a temporal shelter. No, that's not what the person needs. And you haven't listened to the person to know
exactly.
what exactly are the needs of the person. So a response plan should be drawn alongside the survival, not just the person in charge. And the response plan should be able to match up with the needs, identified needs of the survival. So that takes me again to the other angle, Monica. What are some of, I mean, you've been doing a lot of stuff. You've been doing a lot, and there is still a lot still planned on the way. You're just not getting tired. I'm so much inspired. Your energy is contagious. And I mean, I wanted to ask, for somebody listening to you up until this point might have the misconception that everything for you has been so rosy, getting all of this impact you've recorded over time, over decades of your work. What are some of those challenges which you would want to share with anybody listening to you now? I know that you switched from your organization to a consultancy system which you operate now, but still in the area of GBV. What will you say have been some of your hurdles so far over the years?
The biggest hurdle so far that I had to overcome was me.
Oh no.
Me, myself, and I.
I didn't see
I
that
had to
coming,
give myself.
Monica.
I had to give myself permission to heal. I had to give myself permission to grow. And I had to give myself permission to take care of myself. Because you must remember one thing, you cannot pour from an empty cup.
Mm. That.
And in this space of work, the minute you have somebody sitting in front of you, that person puts all their hope and trust in you to come up with a solution. So my biggest hurdle and challenge for the past 30 years was me, as I say. And it happened quite a long time ago, where I had to make peace with things that I couldn't change. I could not change the father of my child. I could not change the family she came from. I had to make peace with it. I could not change my past. I had to build a relationship with it. I made many mistakes. I fell numerous times. There were many nights that I didn't have something to eat, but I was content eating a plate of maize or 2 slices of bread. The journey is never ending in this job, because sometimes when the day ends, it doesn't end for us because we still think about what we heard. We go to bed with other people's problems, and that was my problem. I couldn't cut off. I couldn't let go. I wanted to save everybody. But I had to come to the realization I first had to save myself in order to save the other person. I hope I make sense with what I'm saying, because
No, that's
that for me
something.
was the
That
challenge in
that's
this work.
something. That's something, Monica. And I kept nodding because that's powerful what you just said. You can't pour from an empty cup, because you can't be telling somebody that you need to let go of your past, but you're still living in your past. So if you're
Mm-hmm.
unable to be that better version of yourself, to be that mirror which people want to, see themselves through, then that could
Mm-hmm.
sometimes impair your angle. And I like that prior you had mentioned that as a service provider, we need to be very careful in order not to become perpetrators at some point. And that made a lot of sense to me, because I am looking at it from the angle where sometimes, because you have lived an experience and you're seeing somebody in those same shoes, and for your foresight tells you that this is where this person is likely to end. And despite the fact that the person is saying, no, I rather want to go this other way. And you're walking in that person's shoe and you're telling the person, this isn't the right way. It may sometimes get you in that conflict. So the point where you struggle with yourself, the point where you struggle with walking in someone's shoes, and the point where you try to tilt them in the right direction, but still within the framework of the laws guiding the job that you do, would really, really be challenging. So I get what you mean, separating your personal experience from another person's experience and being able to objectively lead the path would really be something. So I haven't heard that from a lot of people, and you saying that is mind blowing, Monica. So I get what you mean. That makes a lot of sense to me.
Because remember, when a person sits in front of you, like I said, they pick you up in the spirit. They pick you up because remember, a broken spirit can pick up another broken spirit, and it
Yeah.
immediately communicates. Yeah. if you go into a space where you need to go and heal, you need to be healed to do that.
Yeah.
Because an unhealed person cannot extend a hand of healing to another unhealed person. And as activists, we tend to forget that we also have to deal with our own healing alongside the work that we're doing. We need to constantly make sure that we tap into ourselves so that we can be the best of ourselves when we go out there to work in the spaces where we are assigned to work in. That is why there's so much of problems with social workers now. Social workers are most of the time people that do not have a clue what the profession is all about. They just want to be in a certain space, but they're forgetting their currency is people. You cannot, after making a wrong report, go and save that person from the grave when that child has been killed by the wrong place where you placed that child. You can't. So what I train people to do, what the support that I have with my debriefing circle, is to help them to always tap into the available people that can listen to them and help them with their healing. Because we all have a healing spirit in us in some way or the other. But for us to keep that healing spirit alive and to use it for the right work in the spaces that we find ourselves, you need to first identify it. After identification or assessment, you need to nurture it. And it's like a plant, because we are like a plant. Do you know, just for interest's sake, most of the events that I do, I give people with plants. And everybody asks me why. When you don't water a plant, it will die. And that is us. If you don't water yourself, if you don't look after yourself, you will die. Spiritually, not physically. But if you have a plant, you water it, you nurture it, you look after it, it will grow. It will get so big that you'll have to put it in a bigger pot. And it will have babies. And it will grow. And as that is growing, you're growing. And it helps for my clients. I don't refer to them as survivors or whatever. They're my clients. It helps them. And a lot of them, when they've reached that point where they say, Monica, I want to become a volunteer, I know that I've done my work. She went from a victim to a survivor to an activist. Then I know I've done my job. When they say, I want to attend your event, can I be a speaker at your event? Can I help you? Can I, you know how many referrals I get? I'm shocked. I get referred to people that I've never met by people that I've never met. That is impact. I'm not a wealthy woman, but I am so wealthy in terms of my currency of people. That's where my wealth lies. People. I love, even when love for me was something that caused me harm. It's like somebody asked me the other day, when will you ever give up on love? I said, I will never give up on love. Because the people that hurt me are the people that I loved. Not strangers. The last relationship I found myself in about 5 years ago.
Yeah.
He picked me up from work and decided, because I said to him, I'm not interested anymore in this relationship. As we were driving home, he drove into a stationary bus with me. I still have the scars. I still have the medical problems because of that. But what I did was, I knew, instinctively I knew, that if I had to leave immediately, I was going to be killed. I waited, I planned, and my exit plan was to give myself 6 months to heal and then to leave. And I did that. I escaped my death. Because the next move, the minute he picked up that I was going to leave, he was going to kill me. But here I am today. He is a witness to what I became since the day I walked out there. I'm a stronger version of what he thought he could break. And that is the key. Haste will get you into trouble. Plan. Be precise. Be intentional. And act immediately when you get that space. You know, Scream South Africa, if I can unpack what Scream stands for.
Please do, Monica, because everybody who would come across that name would be like, why scream? Like, why do you need to scream? Why, at least, does it equate to yelling? What does it stand for? Where does it come in? Yeah, so please talk about that.
You know, scream, when you scream, there's two things that happen. You can scream of anguish and pain. You can scream of fear. You can scream because of joy.
Hmm.
That's it. It's a word that's very diverse. You know, the meaning to it is very, very, very. But what it is in essence, it's an expression. That it's what it is. So when I was on the street, I wrote this word down. I remember clearly. I always had like a little book where I always used to write. I'm a writer, so I've written poems and things across the times and stuff. And the S stands for stand up. You need to get up. The C stands for cry out. You need to speak. Because nobody will know what's going on in your head if you don't share it with them. Nobody will know your situation if you don't tell them.
Yeah.
The R is for reach out. You need to reach out to the relevant people that can assist you to get yourself out of that situation.
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
And
Sure.
yeah, service providers, that is where they come in, the reach out part. And then the E is elimination. Whatever problem you're facing, whatever abuse you're going through, you need to eliminate it within yourself first, before your external environment can change. I remember clearly when I was in an abusive relationship, I had to become still when he screams. I had to become deaf when he called me names. I had to become a quiet person and not react to him when he wanted me to react. So I eliminated whatever he told me, whatever he wanted to do to me, whatever he reacted to me, I eliminated it inside of me first. And my external world acknowledged it in the end. The A, in my case, was abuse. And the A stands for whatever you find yourself in. Because if you don't name it and you don't shame it, you can't change it.
Hmm.
And the M is for making a difference in your world. So if you look at all the steps, you stood up, you cried out, you eliminated, you named and shamed it. And in the end, you make a difference in the world, in your world, which means it's your children, it's your family, it's everybody. That is the end result. So it's a process, and that is what SCREAM stands for.
Monica, this should be
My
a
personal.
mnemonic. It should be a mnemonic not just for you and your organization. This is something that should go viral. This is something that should go viral. And I'm super happy we're talking about this today. I was just patiently waiting over here. And I wouldn't have told. I mean, I was looking at it just like a word per se. But now that you read meaning to every part of those words, it comes out even stronger. And I like that you relate it to your personal journey. And I like the part where you said the A, you name it according to whatever experience you lived. Yeah,
Yeah.
this is powerful. Yo. That is powerful. Yeah.
Yeah, it is my journey in,
Yeah.
captured in that word. It's true what you say. I should actually do it, eh? Never thought of it like that, because that could become a very powerful vehicle in
Yeah.
terms of sharing that. Yeah, I should create opportunities where I can actually share that, because if you apply that, the steps in any space where you find yourself, whether it's in your marriage, whether it's in your family, whether it's in your work, whether it's in your career, whether it's
Yeah.
anywhere,
Yeah.
um, it can actually work. Thinking
Yeah.
about it, because that's my methodology in my home. That's my methodology how I even view some of my friendships. I don't have many friends, but I've got a lot of acquaintances. I don't have close friends because every person that enter my lives go through an assessment. I'm sorry. My space is
I like that.
my space is so I don't have time to mess around. My time and my space is very, very, very precious. So whoever wants to be in my space needs to earn it to be part of me. But I've got a lot of acquaintances. I've got a lot of people that knows me around the world, that loves talking to me, and that's where it ends. When I put my phone down, that's it. I'm not going to send you my life history or whatever. That is
Yeah.
just how I rule my.
That's
But
powerful.
it's powerful, and if you apply that rule across all of your spaces, you will find yourself a person like me that can sleep at night without worrying what the next person think of me. I'm a big bold girl. Everything
Hmm.
about me is natural. Natural hair. I don't even know honestly how to do my eyebrows. I'm very honest in saying that I need a makeover. But I do not have anything that is not natural. I'm a natural girl. That's me. So I strut my stuff when I walk into a room, and normally I get people looking back at me because, first of all, they do not expect a woman of color to have the principles that I apply to my life. Um, I'm well spoken. I'm well versed. I'm well written. I know how to cross my legs when I sit down, because when you're black, you're always being seen as somebody that cannot be seen in those spaces. But me, I have worked hard, and I have made sure that wherever I go, I represent our black girls to the best of my ability.
Hmm.
In the spaces where I find myself, I represent Africa. because we are all one. And a person like myself that come from humble beginnings,
Ah.
that went to the street to survive,
Mm-hmm.
that still studying as we speak,
Mm-hmm.
that holds certificates from 4 or 5 international universities. If I could do it, you can do it too.
Yeah, this is powerful, Monica. It's very empowering. We could sit here and go on and on and on, but I would definitely still want to sit on a personal basis to tap in from this grace you're sharing. Very nicely, very well structured. And this also speaks to why I chose to use this year's 16 days of activism to spotlight initiatives and women like yourself who are doing amazing work because um, we are not just sharing stories for the world to know what you're doing, but also to pick on some of those insights that you carefully put out there very effortlessly. I can already anticipate how much impact just sharing your experience, just sharing your journey will make in the lives of other people. And you don't even stop, you don't even blink. And I like that you mentioned from the start that you just keep learning. Your life is a school. Like you don't stop at any point. But again, let's talk about one of your future plans before we wrap this up. You will be going to Paris in the days ahead. I guess we can name it Monica Brown in Paris. So what are we expecting from this? What will people be gaining from you, your presence in France?
I'm a transformational leadership coach, and I refer to myself as the lighthouse keeper. And I'm a light. And what people can expect is they will be going on a journey where they will have to mirror themselves first. They'll have to sit and they'll have to say to themselves, this is where I'm at. And this is where I want to be. And that's what I do. I take you on a journey where I won't tell you what to change. You will do it yourself. Because I open your mind to see your journey. Because life is like a train ride.
Right.
You started out. Only 2 people you have on that first ride of your life is your 2 parents. And as time goes on, you get siblings. They get onto the train. They're part of the journey. And along the way, you meet people at school, at church, in your community. They become part of your journey. And as life goes on, some people get off the train because their life ended. They're no longer part of your life. But you cannot stop the train moving. You have to move. And at one point in your life, you have to decide who you want to have in your life and who you're going to take to the end of your life. You choose your life partner. You choose whether you are a person that is now maybe a lesbian. You choose your partner. That is your choice. Nobody can change that. That's you. That's the thing that makes you happy. So on this train journey, you make all that decisions. So many people get off. Some get on. Sometimes the train have to stop to get repaired, to get fixed. And that's life. And that is what I do. whatever talk I do, whether it's in the space of women empowerment, whether it's in the space, you will see that I even spoke recently at a summit for men on healing in the United States. I
Lovely.
spoke to them about the mere fact that before they take a woman into their world, the decision to have her lies with them. Because if you know somebody's toxic and you still take her into your world, you'll have to reap the harvest. That's fact. So that was what my talk was about. So yeah, that is what I normally bring to any talk, any interaction that people have with me. I carry that light. While you're going through the journey here, I keep the light. I'm the lighthouse keeper. I guide you to safety, guide you to shore. I guide you. I don't tell you. And that is what I do. Through my talks, through my coaching, through my writing. If you ever have a moment to go and look me up on LinkedIn, you'll see I've got a phenomenal amount of following there, where people are just getting drawn to the things that I addressed. Because I guide you, I share my life experiences with you, I share my methodologies that I've used to get through situations. I share that, and in the process of sharing, I keep the light as the lighthouse keeper. Because remember, everybody sees the lighthouse, but nobody knows how it can stand and who maintains it and who keeps the light in there going. Because that person never takes the credit. Lighthouse gets the credit.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that is what I do. In every talk, that whether it is in Paris, whether it's in France, whether it's in the States, whether it's at home, whether I'm having a conversation with my client, that is what I do. I'm a guide. I'm a healer. I'm a person that, I always say that I am God and God is me.
Yeah.
So what people see in me, what they see in God, and they will want to be like me, and in that way they will want to be like God.
Yeah.
And that is how I live my life on a daily
Perfect.
basis. And in my work, with my friendship, with my people that know me, my neighbors, all of them, that is how they see me. They sometimes tell me, you speak everywhere in the world, but you're so humble. You go into your garden and you still have a long conversation with your gardener. The guy that comes here for the garbage, you have a long conversation with him like people don't even know who you are. And I always tell them, if you want to be a leader, you need to learn humbleness.
Mm, 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 mm.
You need to be
Yeah.
humble. And that is how I transcend my whole life around humbleness, godliness, cleanliness, intentionality. Be intentional. Take care. Be lovable. Because you can't expect love if you can't love. Can you
Sure.
imagine? You want love, but you don't love. You don't even know what love looks like.
Yeah.
How can you give love if you've never,
Mm,
So yeah,
yeah.
every day I have a group of people that I encourage. If I don't encourage, because at the moment I'm also going through a very medical, I had a few medical problems, but I've
Mm,
surpassed that now. And
yeah.
I, uh, I really can say that I gave myself permission to rest a few months ago, because I just keep going. I never stop.
You
And
know.
God just He made me still, and He forced me to rest. And now I'm ready now to take on the last part of this year, because next
Yeah.
year I even I really, and I hope that after this, me and you can speak again in terms of, you've got a vehicle and
Mm,
I've got pet that I can put into your vehicle, and we can actually collaborate on some things. and
Yeah.
push something forward in terms of getting this narrative around how I do things and share this with women. Maybe
Right.
not only through the podcast, but through online talks, through
True.
having support groups. I will make
Yeah.
myself available because I think
Okay.
it's important that when you find a diamond in the rough, you look after it and you shine it for it to get
Right.
the value. And I know there's many rough diamonds out there that we can
Yeah.
help.
Thank you. Thank you so, so much, Monica. Somebody said, the way to the top is down. And I'm very much inspired because this is you living your life this way. And in a very nice way, you've passed out or passed across the same message. Now we've come to the end of today's episode. And I want to again thank you so, so, so much for finding out time to be here today, to be able to share this very relevant information with us today about your career path, but also these very relevant tips, which even goes beyond gender-based violence prevention and response, but also speaks to people's personal lives. So before we say our byes, I would like you to say a word out there to maybe any survivor who's listening to you now, or maybe any policymaker, and maybe a few words in your language as well before we say bye bye.
Yeah, I speak English, even though I speak Afrikaans as well. But
Okay.
all I want to say to a person that's currently going through a situation is that take care of yourself before you try to give the world something. Be still.
Yeah.
Listen to your inner voice, because nobody else knows what you're feeling except yourself. Nobody else knows what you go through except yourself. And nobody can help you better than yourself. And the world is a cruel place. People will clap for you when things go well. But when things don't go well, people turn their back on you. So take care of yourself. Look in the mirror and say to that person, I love you. I care about you. And I will do anything in my power to get myself to a better space and a better place in life. That is the advice I have for people.
Thank you so much, Monica. It was a very impactful session with you today, and I really do appreciate you. And I look forward to us having future engagements related to this. And I would definitely I'll give you a follow on LinkedIn and also add your LinkedIn handles to the description tag. Hopefully, we get that added as well to the books you've written and the ones you shared with me. This award being worth being read.
Yeah.
The world needs to know about this. So, thank you again, Monica, and I look forward to having you in future editions.
Thank you so much. It was so, I literally had a debriefing session with you today. So
Really?
I
For
had
real?
a tough week last week. It was good to actually speak to you. There's new things that came to mind. Look, you actually um, enlightened me. I never thought of Scream that it could be such a powerful talk. It could be a signature talk for me going forward, and especially in Africa, that we get women to just be like a flower, to bloom, and to hear it from another woman of color could be powerful. I don't know what you think, but that could be
Super
powerful
amazing.
coming from another woman of color. Yeah. So I will take that up. I'll definitely think about what you said to me, and I will keep you posted on. It even gives him an idea to write a book by the name of Scream. I never thought of that. You see, we learn from each other. I'm never too old to learn, because that can be a new project on its own to actually take forward.
Yeah.
It was really a pleasure meeting you, and thank you for the opportunity for me to share, and to also, sometimes in life, the talk we had could change somebody's life, and that's important, that we impact people around the world. Thank you.
Thank you, Monica. And this is me saying bye, and let's stay in touch.